Hey, I'm here today. First of all, welcome everybody. I know you're here for Tony. I mean, Tony Dio. Got him on. I've never had quite this great a response from people. I mean, everybody wants to know what's up with Tony. Dang, I'm just getting ready to walk out the door, but I'll watch it later. So, okay, somebody's gonna watch it later, which is good. But hey, welcome everybody. I got Tony Dio here, man.
What's
This
happening?
guy is the record music king in my book. I mean, when I want to know something about an album, or when I want to know something about, okay, should I buy this version? Should I buy that version? What's their best album? This is the guy I go to. I have to. Is okay. First of all, what is your rock room named?
I don't have a rock room name. It's just my music room.
I thought it was Dio's Metal Emporium.
Oh, no. Dio's Metal Emporium is the whole house.
Ah, that's your house. Your Metal Emporium.
This is just the room in the house. You know, there's records. I mean, the room that I'm in today is pretty much CDs and cassettes and DVDs and 8-tracks and memorabilia. But all my records pretty much I house those in my living room.
No shit.
And there's CDs in there as well.
I think I got to get rid of my wife. If I get rid of my wife, I can put
Nah, don't do that.
But I can put all kinds of shit in the living room. Then I don't have to worry about all that crap. I could just expand.
Just a ginormous man cave.
A rock house.
The rock house.
I told her, I said, I got to get a new apartment.
The B-Rock house.
The B-Rock house.
Yeah.
That name still gets me all the time. But yeah, we got Tony here, man. We're gonna talk music. We're gonna talk some of his favorite pieces that he has. We got a lot of album collectors out there. We got a lot of people that maybe want to get into it, but don't know how to get into it, don't know where to start, what to buy, how to, believe me, I got into it probably 5 years ago. And let's say I quit drinking 10 years ago, so I didn't have a bad habit. And then I started collecting records, and now I'm back to having a really bad habit. It takes all your money away.
It does.
It really does. But, I mean, it is so nice having that vinyl record. I don't like vinyl. I call them albums still, records.
Me as well.
It's an LP,
Always been records for me.
Always going to be, it's always got to be album. That's what and these guys that say vinyl now, it's like you got to be politically correct. We all know what a record is. It's vinyl. It's not a CD. It's not an 8-track. It's a record. It's an album.
And the plural is vinyl, not vinyls.
Right. You got the people that...
So that just pisses me off when I hear vinyls.
It's like, dude, you don't even know what the freak you're talking about if you call them vinyls. Hey, how many vinyls you got? I'm like, okay, I'm done talking to you, and I delete you right off Facebook because you have no clue. No clue whatsoever. So now, what age did you get into rock music? What age did it just grab you and you were like, all this?
I was 7, and I mean, I was into, I'd listen to, my dad had a lot of 8-track tapes and stuff, country and stuff, and he had some Elvis, and we had some Jerry Lee Lewis and stuff like that. But I was 7 years old. Took me to the store, which is a tape store here in Rocky Mount. It's pretty infamous, called Tape City, and we got Rock and Roll Over on 8-track. This isn't that one, but that one's long gone. But here we go. This started it for me.
That started
my all-time favorite album, my first real rock album. So everything pretty much started for me there, and that
is the original that you bought way back when.
No, that's not the original tape, but I've got another copy.
You got
my original. Where it went, I don't know. Some of the stuff I've lost over the years.
Oh yeah,
and I was into that. I was into Kiss big, and Kiss was everywhere by then, and so I was, started getting a few more Kiss albums. I would get albums. I'd get 8-track tapes, and I was more into a few other things like Frampton Comes Alive and
nice
Foghat Live, and I had ZZ Top and some other stuff as well. But as I got a little older, probably about 10 years old and stuff, I started getting into, listening to more stuff on the radio, more radio rock and stuff. I got into new wave and stuff that was on the radio. Loved Devo. Devo was like, this album here like changed my life. It's just a great album.
Devo is cool, man. I've always loved it. Someone just said something about Devo. Right here. I don't know who this is. They just brought up Devo. I'm gonna go in here and figure out
and a little bit of Devo. The Sherbs the Skull.
Serves the Skull. Okay, now who is this? I'm looking.
But yeah,
Kelly Watkins.
Sherbs the Skull.
Serves the Skull. It's like that's Kelly Watkins. But yeah, Devo. You gotta love Devo.
But yeah, I mean, I love stuff like that. I was talking about, I was listening to Men at Work at my job today. Love stuff like that. Loved REO Speedwagon and 38 Special and stuff that was on the radio, the Police, the Cars, and so forth. Van Halen was another band that was definitely a game changer for me. We got MTV in the summer of '83. We got cable, and MTV opened up a whole new world of here's all these bands and so forth. And, some kids at school were talking about Van Halen. Van Halen 2 is just, that kicked it off for me with Van Halen. And love Van Halen 2 is one of my favorite Van Halen record, period. And, but yeah, sort of learn about all these other bands and so forth.
Van Halen 2 does not get the just due it deserves.
It's so much better than the first one to me.
I like it. Or I like them both. I like them both the same. I mean, I think they're really freaking fantastic albums, but everybody it seems like everybody overlooks two.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, so that's where the hard rock thing really took off for me. I mean, like I said, I still love Kiss and everything. So Van Halen and just everything that was followed behind them, was getting into so much stuff, just whatever was on MTV as far as the hard rock genre, you would see Rat and Motley Crue and all that stuff coming in. And around that, probably around like 84, 85 or whatever, I picked up this cassette. It's called Metal Killers Collection. It's 2 parts. And it's a bunch of bands on here. I mean, they got Judas Priest and stuff on here, which I was familiar with, but it also had Tigers of Pantang and Wrathchild, the UK version. It's got Tokyo Blade. It's got Motorhead. First time I ever heard Motorhead was on here. Venom. First time I ever heard Motorhead. Venom was on here. I mean, everything from Gary Moore. I love Gary Moore. First time I ever heard him was on here. So it's so much stuff that my mind was opened up to this whole new, just all this other stuff that you didn't really see on MTV as much,
right?
For as metal goes, and then along comes Metallica,
right?
And I remember the first time I ever heard Metallica, the guy had Ride the Lightning, and I heard Fight Fire with Fire, and I was like, wow, this is even faster than Motorhead and Venom,
right?
So it kind of just blossomed from there. And I always bought records and I bought 8 tracks, when I was starting out and all, but I really got into cassettes in the 80s, and I had tons of cassettes. And
you can carry you had your Walkman,
and
you can carry a tape in each pocket, 2 pockets here, fit about 2 or 3 inside each inside pocket, and then 2 on here, so you could go just cruising down the street, walking around the mall with your own little record collection in your jacket.
Boombox. You carry the boombox,
Boombox. Oh hell yeah! I still have my boombox,
and I still have a bunch of cassettes. Not as nowhere that I used to have, but I didn't even get into CDs. Believe it or not, I didn't get my first CD player until 1993. So I was really hard headed about shifting to CDs. I kept saying, I'm not going to update my whole collection over again, but I did. And as you can see behind me, I mean, there's thousands of CDs in this room.
Now with albums, CDs, 8 tracks, I seen you post your Discogs thing the other day. And for anybody that doesn't know, Discogs is a record you can buy record CDs, anything there, and you can log your collection. So if you're at the record store, you can say, hey, do I have this? Oh, yes, I do. And it keeps track of the amount and everything like that. It also tells you how many you have in your collection. Tony, How many you got in your collection?
According to Discogs, about 7,200 pieces.
I'm telling you. Wow.
So that's
God.
everything.
I saw that. I was like, Jesus.
You know, I always liked record albums. You know, it's big. You can see the covers, and they always had cool stuff sometimes in them and stuff.
Right.
But I kind of got out of it. I was into the CD thing for the longest time. I would still pick up LPs when I would see them because I mean, you could find them. You know, you can still find them in used stores and still find them in like the cheap section at the record store. Sometimes they'd have them in the cutout bin.
Right.
And I would pick up stuff, and I kept stuff. I probably, you know, in the over like 20 years ago, I probably still had 3 to 4 crates full of records that I kept. You know, I kept all my Kiss and Venom and Thin Lizzy and stuff bands I really collected. But I wasn't buying a whole lot. Every once in a while, I'd pick up a piece if it was something cool that came out. But 10 years or 12 years ago, I guess it was, my friend, I got a good turntable. Finally, I had a really good turntable in years. And I got a Kenwood turntable, and it was really nice. And my friend Mark Brooks, he says, you should buy these records for me. I got a whole crate of records, and I'm going to bring them over, and you should buy them from me. And I said, okay, bring them over. Well, he comes over, and the majority of what he had in this crate was stuff that he had purchased when he lived in New York. And he would go to Rock and Roll Heaven, which was Johnny Zazula's store, and he would buy whatever Johnny told him to buy that week. Hey, Johnny, what should I get this week? You know, what's new, what's interesting, and he would buy it. So it was everything from, you know, Metallica to Venom to, you know, just oddball, new wave of British metal stuff, you know, Manila Road, all kinds of just stuff, all kinds of really cool records.
Right.
And I bought those, and I was instantly bit by the bug where I had to have more, and I started buying records again. And luckily at that period, things weren't through the roof like they were now. So I was able to buy stuff. I was able to go in stores and still find cool stuff at decent prices. And the vinyl thing was really getting big then. People were starting to really push it. You started seeing more people buying records. And I bought a couple of collections as well that I found for sale, like on Marketplace and so forth.
Right.
Had got word of. So it just kept growing and growing and growing. And so I've really got some really cool pieces. Some stuff I've had for ages, for, you know, since the 80s, and some stuff I've had for, you know, 10 or 12 years.
Right. And some stuff you've had since yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you find it. I mean, it's nice seeing it. You know, this year and the past 2 years, I mean, prices have just skyrocketed.
It's really ridiculous what some stuff is.
Absolutely. I pulled one out the other day because I was like, I haven't listened to this in a while, but you know what? Let's see if I get $20 for it, you know? And I pull it out. And before that, I went to Discogs and I looked, and I'm like, this some bitch, I can get $85 for this. I'm like, all right, I'm going to list it for $85. People are going to laugh me off the page. Dude, that sold within fucking 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Go on. And I'm like,
are you in the record and tape asylum group?
Right. Record tape.
Yeah. There's always great stuff in there. Yeah. We're plugging the record and tape asylum here tonight.
Right. The record, CD, and cassette asylum. That is the greatest place to buy records, cassettes. You'll get 8 tracks every now and then. The guys they don't gouge you like these eBays and whatever. And everybody knows each other, and it's quality.
It's a neat little community where everybody kind of knows everybody, and everybody reads each other's posts, and kind of where you can trust that you're not going to get ripped off, basically.
Exactly. And if something happens, everybody works together. You know, they work with you to make it right. They'll refund you. If something screws up in the mail, they'll refund you. It's not like eBay. You don't take your chances out there. There's good groups out there, and that is one of them.
I still buy CDs. I still buy cassettes, 8 tracks, whatever I can find. You know, I still buy a lot of CDs every year.
You go to the record store.
Some stuff is more affordable especially new vinyl. A lot of new presses are just outrageous, and you can get the CD for $12 and vinyl's $40. You know, so unless it's a band that I really collect and I want it on vinyl, I'll just buy the CD.
Right. And then, you know, unless they repress it, it's a decent price, $20. I go as high as 30. I think this one, I really dig Tokyo Motor Fist, and they released this on vinyl. I was like, $30. All right, cool. I'll take it. I'll do it. And you know, Ches Kane, that one, the CDs were all sold out. All they had was records. $25. I'm like, cool. And it's pink. I'm like, all right, you get some really cool ones, marbled. You get, you know, pink, different colors. I mean, they're really doing a lot more with records now to make them, you know, nicer. And the quality before it was about 5 years ago when, you know, the quality wasn't there.
Well, I've still run into some problems on new pressings where the quality is not there because the record pressing plants are backed up right now. There's a lot of people that can't get their product out because there are big box stores that I will not mention that are selling reprints of an Elton John record you can go buy for $3 at your used store, but they want to give you a green copy at the local box store. But it is what it is. But you know, and then the quality a lot of times this isn't as good on some of these mass produced records. It's kind of like the last days of vinyl records in the late 80s. A lot of times you would get an album and it would be real flimsy, or just, you know, just not well made at all. You know, that cutoff period for the US was around 88, 89 when they stopped pressing everything on vinyl records. Then you could still get it in Europe over the years, you know. And then when it started coming back, it was all like, you know, 180 gram, nice product, you know, when they started bringing it back again, you know. So that's really cool. So you want to see some of my more obscure stuff, more valuable stuff here? Or?
Okay, let's see like some of your most expensive ones.
Well, I'm going to start out here. I've got
whatever you want to start out with, man.
These are collectible and they're you know, they're worth a little something. Got a few. This is a couple of 7-inch singles here.
Nice.
From Twisted Sister. This is one I actually got from Mark when I bought his collection. I found this one later on in the shop. The first things they ever released before they were even signed to a record deal. This is I'll Never Grow Up and Under the Blade, and this is Bad Boys of Rock and Roll and Lady Boy. And they're not versions that you've heard on the early albums, like on Under the Blade and so forth. They're different recordings.
Say hi to Roy, Kathy, and Constance.
Hey, Roy.
Hi, Roy and Constance.
I didn't bring my Cold Sweat album in here, but I got the CD.
I got mine. I've got mine. I'm gonna pull it out too, just because Roy's in here.
I've got this is the first Raven single for I Don't Need Your Money and Wiped Out.
Shit.
This was the 6th single that Neat Records ever pressed. And like I said, it's from 1981, and it's the first one they released.
Holy crap.
Here's a weird new wave of British heavy metal band called Aurora, and it's just an independent release single that came out in the UK. You can see that. And the drummer on this is Simon Wright, who from AC/DC and Dio and Queensryche and so forth. And the last 7-inch I'm going to show, this is White Heat, Helpless, which is pre-Firehouse. This is when Firehouse was called White Heat. And the song is Helpless, the same song that's on the first Firehouse album. And Crashing Through the Walls is the B-side. This is really neat. A good friend of mine named Dennis Cristiano, he gifted this to me. Actually, he gifted me some other stuff I'm going to show you as well. He's just a good guy, and he had some cool stuff. And he says, man, I want you to have it and keep it in your home. So that was cool of him.
That's cool.
So just showing some of the rare stuff here. I got a couple of local bands here. Max Warrior, which is pretty common. You know, these guys went on to be some of the guys went on to be Firehouse. We just talked about White Heat. White Heat, I guess Max Warrior changed to White Heat. And also this is a band called Alias Mangler. They were from like the Raleigh area. Just an independent released album that was recorded in Zebulon, North Carolina,
Huh.
at with BMC Records, and
Nice.
got probably, if you want to know the most valuable record I've got according to Discogs,
Oh,
this
God.
was gifted to me by Dennis as well. This is the first Metal Massacre.
Dude.
Metal Blade Records, first thing they ever released, Metal Massacre, and it's Metallica is on here, and
Right.
where you can see it or not, let's see, but it's spelled wrong. They spell Metallica
Wow.
Mettallick. I see
Oh,
it.
dude.
And it's actually, this is the first version of Hit the Lights. It actually has, it's James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, Ron McGovney, Lars Ulrich, and it has a guy named Lloyd Grant who did the guitar solo. I've heard rumors that it was just James and Lars with Lloyd basically on this, but this was the first version of this.
That thing is a mint.
Yeah, it's in excellent shape. It really is.
Mean,
it's got to be the most valuable record that I have.
Wow.
I think I have all the Metal Massacres up through 7 or 8, I believe.
Huh.
On
and
vinyl.
Them are good ones to have. I mean, them are, them ones with the compilations.
Mm-hmm.
People love them. US Metal, the compilation albums. Some of them you could get for $2-3, but they're kick ass to have. And then you got the other one where it's a few hundred or 1,000. Yeah.
And I love collecting metal compilation albums. I've got quite a few of them.
Exactly.
Ones. Metallica was on a lot of ones that came out of Europe. So those are really collectible to get just because they're on it. And but there's some really cool ones. There was remember US Metal. That was the
US Metal.
That was the first stuff on Shrapnel Records, which Shrapnel became the Shred guitar label, But they did the US Metal compilations where they would showcase the guitar players in these bands. So it's pretty cool. Here's another rare one that I have here. This is Wasp, Still Not Black Enough.
And that's the OG, not the repress.
Yeah, they only made 3,000, and this is 656 of 3,000. Just another great record. My friend Mark Roper actually gave me that.
I have the repress of that one.
And this is an original 1984 pressing of Danzig 4, and it is autographed up in there, up in the corner. You can see or at the bottom here, he actually signed it. I wasn't buying a lot of records at this period, but Danzig was coming to Raleigh. He's playing the Civic Center, and he always hung out after the shows and sat by the bus and signed autographs. So I was like, I want to get something cool to get signed. So I went to the store, and this was the new record that come out. So I bought it on vinyl and just, got him to sign it. And I've kept it all these years.
Bang, dude.
And, the Danzig records have not been put back in print.
No.
On records. You can't get it. The vinyl records you can't get. There are unofficial versions out that were pressed. I don't know why Deaf American or whatever they call won't put those back in print or license them somebody, but they won't do it. But I have the unofficial pressings of Danzig 1, 2, and 3. Here's another pretty rare one here. This is Kiss Alive 4 with the Symphony, and this is a 3 LP set, and they're pretty pricey now if you can find them. I worked for Sanctuary Records back when this was put out, so was able to get one then. I think everybody in the company ended up getting a copy of it.
Nice.
Another rare one. This is Van Halen's first promo EP. This came out before the first album was released. That is the original Van Halen logo that they were going to use, which they ended up changing, of course.
I have seen a picture of it. I just have never seen it.
It's called Looney Tunes because it's got the Looney Tunes Warner Brothers things on it or whatever, And
dude,
it's a sampler with Running with the Devil, Eruption, Ice Cream Man, You Really Got Me, and Jamie's Crying. And it's on red vinyl as well. So pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
This is one that I had been wanting for a long time, and I got it probably about 5 years ago. And now, ever since Eddie passed, they've gone through the roof in price.
Through the roof. It's not like Balance wasn't already tens of thousands of dollars, and now it's like,
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my God.
And you wonder why. I'm wondering when they're going to put all the Van Halen catalog back in print again. You know, because there's so many of especially the Sammy Hagar era and
hell yeah,
and the different kind of truth. I'd love to get that on vinyl. I wish I'd picked one up. I did pick this up, and this was kind of rare now. The live, it's the live set. It's like 4 LP set.
Yep.
And that's getting pretty rare to get nowadays.
Hell yeah. I mean,
here's another one. One of my all-time favorite records, Cry of Love, Brother, North Carolina band. If you've a lot of people out there know who they are. Just great bluesy hard rock record. The drummer, Jason Patterson's a good friend of mine. He gifted me a few years ago. He gave me that, and he gave me a couple of singles, couple 12-inch singles. I'm a huge fan of this band. I have like all their CD singles. I have cassettes. I have promo cassettes. Just a big fan of these guys.
Anything you can get from them, you want it. Just give me merch.
Anything I can collect by them that I can find out there.
And you know, that's the way. You may be collecting, but you grabbing their merch, you're supporting them. You're collecting memorabilia. Really, you're collecting to add to your house.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. Another rare one here, Bonded by Blood from Exodus. This is an original combat pressing of that. First pressing of Death, Scream, Bloody Gore.
Oh yeah,
that's just one of the ones I got from Mark. Mark's record collection. First Merciful Fate EP. Maybe we better cover that up so we don't get hit by censors. This is the second pressing of the Merciful Fate EP on Rave On Records. The first pressing had a white border. This has got the black border in the second pressing. Resurrection from Halford. This is original 2000 pressing from I got this when I was working at Sanctuary Records, and this is just gone back into print. You can get this again now. I think it might be on 2 LPs, possibly. This is only all on one here. Another oddball record that some of you may have seen back in the day. This is called First Strike by Def Leppard. And this record was for sale in stores. I remember seeing it when Def Leppard Pyromania was out and they were really hot. You could go in record bar, they'd have this. I remember my friend had it on cassette as well. And it was released it's a bunch of demos that was released by a former manager or something, and they got in a legal dispute and it was pulled and you couldn't find it anymore. So now they're $100 records when you find them.
Oh, easy.
One of my favorite German metal bands, Running Wild. It's the first EP. That's a pretty rare one to find. Really neat one here. This is Motorhead No Remorse. Now, this was my first Motorhead album. I actually had it on cassette. And this is in a leather-bound cover. It's leather. It's bound, and it's a leather, and it's embossed with the War Pig on it. It's a double album. And like I said, it's a leather cover. And the cassette actually came in a pouch, a leather pouch as well. And that's really rare if you can find the cassette. But the cassette I had was just one that wasn't in the leather pouch. I'd love to find one that's fully packaged eventually.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is a band called Slayer, but not Slayer from LA. This is San Antonio Slayer. This is a band from San Antonio, Texas that were called Slayer, and I guess they didn't know that there was another Slayer at the time. But their second album, this is their EP. Their actually full-length album was called S.A. Slayer. But this one just is Slayer. The bass player, Donnie, went on to be in Riot, and the drummer, Dave McClain, plays with we play with Machine Head. He's played with Sacred Reich. I think he might be with Sacred Reich again now.
Now, are they anything like the Slayer? It's
straight up heavy metal with high-pitched vocals.
Okay.
Very different. Now, there is a famous show. The two bands played a show together in Texas, and they billed it as Slayer versus Slayer.
Really?
You can look it up online, and you can probably find flyers and posters from the gig, but it was Slayer versus Slayer. It's an infamous show.
Dude, that would be sick.
Sortilege. This is a French band, and this is on the Rave On label, the same label that did the Merciful Fate EP.
Oh, shit.
Here's one up your alley. LA Guns.
Hell yeah. That's a must
Great
have.
record, Cocked and Loaded. This was a hard one to find. You know it's hard to find.
Dude, when I grabbed it up and it had a little bit of, I think I got it right here. It's got to be here somewhere. But it had like a little bit of front wear. And I'm like, I just don't give a shit. I'm going to have to take it because, that's just the way it is. Where the hell did it go? Good. It's right there. Huh. Oh, there it is. Yeah, see, it's got a little bit of wear right here.
Oh, yeah.
On the edge.
That's not bad.
But I'm like, you know what?
Probably water damage.
I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Because they're so hard to find.
Hard to find.
And this some bitches went up in price so freaking bad.
Yeah, I think I paid $60 for mine at a record show a few years ago. I'd sold some stuff that day and had a pretty good day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to splurge and buy this because I'm not going to find it any other time. And I love it.
Right.
My only complaint about it is my favorite LA Gun song, I Want to Be Your Man, is not on here. It was only on the CD release of that album. Maybe the cassette as well.
Probably.
Here's a couple you'll recognize. These are both originals.
My God, dude.
Second and third Pantera records.
Dude.
This was the first Pantera record I ever got, Projects in the Jungle. And it's probably my favorite Pantera record of all time.
Easy.
Most people, if they know the history of Pantera, know that they had 4 albums out before Cowboys from Hell.
Exactly.
And they had a singer before Phil. The singer, Terry Glaze, he sounded a lot like Joe Elliott. Yep. So they kind of have a high and dry Def Leppard meets like Judas Priest, Scream of Vengeance type sound. And so it's heavy metal. It's heavy metal. I mean, they're glammed out as hell, but they weren't a glam band. They weren't a hair band. They were just heavy metal. I mean, that's what everybody looked like at that period.
I loved them 4 albums.
And this was the first one that I got, was Projects in the Jungle. And I've got, I got Power Metal on cassette, and I've got some unofficial pressings of like the first album and stuff as well. Record store day stuff seems to go through the roof as well. I mean, a lot of the stuff that comes out is very limited. You don't once it's gone, it seems like it goes up in price. A few years ago, they did Typo Negative's Bloody Kisses on 3 LPs, and this one's definitely gone up in price. And you can get a 2 LP version of this that is available now. But I had to get that. I love that album. It's my favorite from that band. Show you a couple AC/DC pieces here. These aren't super valuable records. You can actually find them, but the original Albert pressings of the albums from Australia. This is a High Voltage, the Australian version, and TNT, the Australian version, and our version of High Voltage that we got in the U.S. was made up of songs from these 2 albums. This was like 75 and 76. And speaking of our version of High Voltage, the one that had Angus Young on the cover in the schoolboy outfit. Well, in the UK, they got this disco looking cover, which is really strange looking. But it's different. And I had to have it. I like finding oddities like that.
Right.
Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. This was the original Aussie version. Of course, it didn't come out in the States until 81 after Back in Black success. I think for what I understand, they turned this in and to their new record label that they had signed to, Atco in the US, and they turned it down, didn't want to release it. Another odd thing about our version. And another odd thing about this is the song Jailbreaks on here, which isn't on the US version and wouldn't appear until like 85 or so in the 74 Jailbreak EP that came out in the States.
No, it's not on this one.
And I know you have this, Mike.
I do.
Yes. I remember telling you about this, and you were like, I've got to go find this. But this is the Spanish version of For Those About to Rock, and the colors are reversed.
Yep.
And so this was a really cool piece. I'd been looking for one forever and finally found a US seller on Discogs that had it.
So badass. When I saw you had that, I was like, dude, where'd you get that?
So there's a white version too. In the Mexican pressing is white with black print.
There goes my paycheck.
Gotta find that one.
There goes my paycheck.
couple
Sorry,
more.
honey, we're not going on the cruise. I got to buy that AC/DC album.
Couple other things I've got. This is a rare Venom box set. This has the first 3 albums plus a picture disc, and I had it. It's been autographed by all 3 original members of Venom that I got. Really cool piece.
Holy shit!
And talk about Record Store Day. This thing shot up in value. The Allied Forces 40th anniversary box set that came out back in November of last year. And this was super tough to get, and it's very pricey now, but it's very, very cool.
I should have got that thing, not for the price, just because I wanted it, but I forgot that Record Store Day passed you by, and I'm like, oh no, I missed it.
And here's the best of Heaven and Hell. I have another Venom. This is the Warhead single, which is autographed by all 3 original members. I have Celtic Frost to Megatherion, that is autographed by all 3 original members.
Damn.
And then a little heaven, we have Striper to Hell with the Devil, and it's with the supposedly banned cover, and it is autographed by all 4 original members.
Now, I never understood the banning of that cover.
I thought it was a lot of hype over it, basically, what it was.
Baby, yep.
But, and then a couple more I'll just show you here really fast. I got the first Raven album, Rockin' to Your Drop, 1981. This is one of the first things that Neat Records ever put out, and it is still got the order forms in it. Got this one from Mark as well, and it was autographed. And I asked him, I said, did you meet him and get it autographed? And he's like, no, it was like that. So found out that I think it was 4,000 or 5,000 copies or something, and I think half of them were autographed, and then a bunch were sent to the U.S., and that's how Mark ended up picking it up. We met all the guys in Raven over the last 10 years, different times. Got to be friends with them, so I've got like tons of stuff from Raven that's autographed now.
And I noticed you showed that order form. Now you can get albums out there that will come with them cool ass order forms that we used to have, or we used to order. Oh my god, order a T-shirt, order this. Yeah, join the fan club. I mean, you find some of them, and it's like, oh my god, this is still in there.
Look at this. You can get this is to admit one backstage pass. So when I went to see Raven, they played the Maywood one time, and I was like, hey, does this still work?
Nice.
So
I'm like, come on back, man. You waited so long.
Another thing that seems to have gone through the roof price rise is Metallica records.
Yes.
Everything through like Master of Puppets is just like, $100 records now. This is original Megaforce, silver label Megaforce. I mean, these things are going for like, $150, $200 now. It's just crazy.
I don't know which pressings I have.
I think I got that one from Mark as well. I believe it was one I got from him. I have the Electra version. That's the one that I bought. This is the first Metal Church record, and this isn't on Electra. This is actually on it's on a label. What is it? I don't even know. It's a independently released one that they did. Ground Zero Records was
Ground Zero. That's right.
Yeah. And this was one of Terry Date's, the first albums Terry Date produced. Pantera heard it and was like, wow, we want this guy to do work with us. And he did this, but even when the independently released version, they basically just cleaned it up a little bit and reissued it on Elektra when they got signed to Elektra. And talk about order forms. This is brilliant. You get the neck brace. You get the Metal Church neck brace you can order.
Nice.
And I've heard rumors that was just, just a promotional thing, that there really wasn't one. I have yet to see one, but it would be cool to see one.
Hey, what's up, Scully?
Scully.
Yep, Scully said, what's up? What's up, YouTube?
What's going on with Scully?
Hey, it's rocking. He's going to be on the ship, man. I'm going to see him in like a week and a half, 13 days.
Scully or Scully?
Scully. Scully.
Scully Coley. What's up, man?
Yep.
I thought you said Scully at first. So yeah, I can talk for hours. I got so much stuff.
Easy.
That's some of my most valuable stuff. Now, when you want to talk about, I like oddities, and I'm always looking for stuff that's just a little on the odd side or something of a regular pressing that we know of, you know.
Right.
Stuff that's not worth a whole lot, but it's just cool. You know, I have where is it? If I can find it here. Like, so you got that first Rat EP, you know, the original Time Coast version with that back cover. Yep. So I don't know if you knew this, but they actually, another label, and I'm thinking they did it in Europe. This is on Target Records, same back cover, but it's called You're in Trouble.
Yes.
And they have the song You're in Trouble has been added to the listing. That's a really cool piece.
I don't have it, but I've seen it. I'm like, okay, you know.
Sometimes, you know, they would, sometimes, you know, there's albums have been censored to be sold in certain stores. Like back in the day, like Kmart wouldn't sell the Love It First Thing from Scorpions.
They had this, Kmart had that, Sam Goody had this.
Record clubs were like that as well. Some of the BMG and Columbia House and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
This is a RCA record club pressing of Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. Now, there is no pentagram on it. It's not a gatefold like the regular album, and there's no pentagram on this. It's just solid black with the red writing. You have a little ring wear you can see there, but it's not the pentagram.
Right.
I thought it was cool. I had to have it.
Gotta have it.
We all know about the
and here's the one with the pentagram.
Oh yeah, man. It's just that's one of the coolest covers, the way they did the mylar and the gloss, you know.
Yep. Like you said, Columbia House would do their own thing. BMG would do their own thing. And now they're worth a little more. Or
another thing a lot of people don't know, but BMG and Columbia House press their own records. They have their own plants. So a lot of times some people say that club pressings aren't as superior in quality as a real pressing. But I mean, I find them and I don't notice that much different. One thing I'm not a mint collector. I don't care if something's not mint. I mean, as long as it's playable, if it's cool and I want it, I'm not an anal collector where I've got my friend Gary Schaefer. He runs the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, and I buy a lot of CDs and stuff from him, and he hates dealing with mint collectors because if something's bent or it's got a piece of dust on it, then they want a refund, and I don't blame him. It's just it's crazy.
Right. Jeff wants to know, do you have an 8-track player for those tapes you have?
I do. I would bring it over here, but it's plugged in, and I'll knock a bunch of shit down trying to get to it. But I have the little TNT Panasonic player. I want to get one I can hook to my stereo. I'm in search of one of those.
I had one. Dude was going to give me one. He's like, I have it at the house. It's in the attic. I haven't used it in forever. I never brought it into work. And I'm like, and then he goes and gets another job. I'm like, well, what happened with the 8-track player, man? You know, my wife's like, good. You don't need nothing else. I'm like,
there's a guy in Raleigh that can fix them, and he actually can fix 8-track tapes. He'll repad them and respool them. He worked for a radio station for years, and radio stations back in the old days, in the 80s and 90s or whatever, like the old days, but they used what they call cartridges or carts, and that's what they put the commercials on. It's the same thing as an 8-track, basically. So he learned how to tear them apart and rebuild them, and I've had to send some tapes to him. Matter of fact, he's got a couple of my Kiss tapes now. I think he's got Destroyer, and he's got a Sabbath Volume 4 I need to get back from him that I had that sent to be repaired. But we're talking about the odd albums and stuff. The Docking Breaking the Chains is what we got in this. Of course, this is a Japanese pressing, but this is what we saw this in the US, when it came out. The original version that came out on Career Records in Germany. And it's actually called Don Dokken Breaking the Chains. And it's a totally different mix of the songs. Couple things have different arrangements and so forth. But I'd been looking for this for ages, and I finally got it. There is another version that just says Dokken without Don. And then this next version has this wheel looking design on it with protractor or whatever they did. But it's purple, and it's still on Career, and it's still
purple.
And I'm looking for one of those if anybody's got one they want to part with.
Send your albums to Donnie, Dio, Leonard. He takes them all.
This is a Korean pressing of Diary of a Madman. So I guess in Korea they couldn't use certain things on the album cover, so they took the whole cover, done away with it, done a zoom in on the cat in the window, and that's your album cover. And they actually admitted the song "Diary of a Madman" is not even on here. It's missing several songs, not even on here.
See, I've noticed that with Koreans, like Skid Row, Slaves of the Grind, it's missing some songs.
Mm-hmm.
I think right, Mud Kicker. Some songs are off there, and it's like half even a Firehouse. They weren't. They had to take certain songs off. It's like what?
They left "Love of a Lifetime" off.
"Love of a Lifetime" was off. It's like you're sitting there going, "Firehouse." Okay, whatever.
I have a "Long Live Rock and Roll" from Korea from Rainbow, and "Kill the King" is not on it, which is the best track. It's not even on it.
Oh, it says "Kill."
Here is a Russian copy of "Diary of a Madman" with Russian writing on it, and it's really a flimsy vinyl. The cover's flimsy. It's just, it's definitely pirated. I picked it up at a record show. I was like, "Oh, this is neat. I gotta have it." And it comes to oddball stuff too. Like I said, I love stuff like this. Right. That's the Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath's greatest hits, or whatever you want to call it. It's all Ozzy songs. It's all songs from the first 3 or 4 albums. There's Ian Gillan. They got a picture of Ian Gillan on the cover. I saw this in the flea market. I was like, oh, I got to have it just for that reason. I was thinking, oh man, it's gonna have a bunch of the Gillan stuff. Nope.
Dude, the Gillan stuff's cool. The Dio stuff's great. That's my favorite era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry,
mine as well.
Email to rockingwithbrock.com, but Dio is better than fucking Ozzy.
Well, speaking of Dio, I'll show you these.
Dio.
I've got a ton of Dio stuff as well. I've got a pretty big Dio collection, but one of the things that I really like to collect is I like promo copy records. I like 12-inch singles, promotional singles, and so forth. In the UK and in Germany and Europe and all over Europe, they release a lot of 12-inch singles over there that actually release for sale, and they have cool cover art, and they'll have like a couple extra live tracks or something as B-sides. Right. So I like to collect stuff like that. Here's a Dio for "Hungry for Heaven," and it's got a couple of live tracks, like it's got like a Beat of a Heart live on it. Here's a Black Sabbath. This is one for Die Young. And it has "Heaven and Hell" live on the B-side, which is a different version than what it was on Live Evil.
Now, see, everybody out there, now you see why it costs us so much money, because you don't just have the album. Then you have all this oddball stuff.
Yeah, and photos.
That you're like, oh my God. Then the maxi singles and the mini singles and then this and then that. Oh my God. And this version and that version and that pressing and this pressing and that. It gets expensive. And some of these pieces are so cool, and you're seeing them here, but you're not going to see them out there.
Judas Priest.
Wow.
This is one for "Take on the World," and it's got "White Heat" and "Starbreaker" as live tracks on here as bonus tracks.
That's cool.
I like when I was mentioning the promo singles and the stuff that's sent out to radio that's not for sale.
Right.
It's just sent to radio to promote the albums. I love finding stuff like that, especially like you just find the ones with just a plain white cover and they've got a sticker on it like that telling you what it is.
This is
this. It's like a radio mix version of "Out in the Fields" from Gary Moore.
Right.
Pretty cool piece.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll fancy them up, make them more eye appealing, I guess, to send out the radio. And there was a while.
I have that one.
Really cool. "I Want to Be Somebody."
Yep, this one. I got that one.
Sometimes they'll do ones and they're doing colored vinyl. Here's "Riot" by Blue Murder, the song "Riot" from Blue Murder, and they did it on blue vinyl.
Whoa.
And this is really cool. This came out for Ozzy Osbourne for "Diary of a Madman." It's "Flying High Again." It's basically the 12-inch single, but then it also has pre-release montage. And what it is they just took the songs from the album and faded them together and made a montage of all the songs on the album. So when you can listen to the whole album in
90 seconds.
I think it says it's 18 minutes. You get the whole album and listen to it 18 minutes. And then there's of course the the promo copies that they would send to the station of the full-length album, or maybe to be reviewed or something. Most of the time they were stamped, promotional only, like up in the corner there. But then they would have a timing strip on them as well. And that's really cool to me to find stuff like that. Here's one for the first Nantucket record, our Raleigh Boys. It's got the timing strip, and the LP itself has a white label. So they call it, when you hear them say it's a white label promo, that's what they're talking about.
Right. And them are more expensive than, they're more rare, I guess.
They're more rare. Yeah, you can find them. They're not really expensive.
I have a Montrose one, white label promo. I mean, that thing is mint condition, and I don't play that one. I play my player copy just because that one's a little rare to find. And I'm like, okay, I love this, but the white labels are cool to find. My buddy found one, a Shout Out to Devil, white label promo in a record store for $10. I'm like, dude, buy that.
Yeah.
He's like, I did.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Metallica Master of Puppets, and it had the little hype sticker on it. I forgot exactly what it said, but it was white label on Elektra, and it was worth a lot. But the copy I had was really, really beat up, so it really wasn't worth a whole lot. I ended up selling it and just kind of took a loss on it. But it was just it was really beat up, and I'm not a huge Metallica collector, so I just traded it out.
Right.
I really love to find Japanese copies. That's been my latest passion, is buying Japanese presses. Love they're good quality records. They always have you cool little, what they call it's like a sash, but it's called an obi strip, and it's always down the side, And I mean, I find them sometimes you get them cheaper if they're missing that, but the collectors really want to have that,
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they'll have, they'll always have like Japanese lyric sheets and so forth in them as well. Here's the Bon Jovi for Slippery When Wet, and you get the original cover on that one, the one that they didn't let them have over here, to band it or whatever over here in the States. Kiss Lick It Up actually has the obi wraps around the whole entire record. So you still have the cover with the non-makeup cover, which is the white cover, which you can probably see under here. But I guess in Japan they didn't want to confuse everybody or something, so they put Kiss with makeup on the cover. One of the early Japanese presses that a lot of metal collectors try to find, one of the best live albums of all time, Unleashed in the East by Judas Priest.
Absolutely.
Originally came out in Japan as Priest in the East.
That's right.
And of course, we have on there, it came with a 7-inch single with it that had 4 extra songs that weren't on the American release until like years later. When they did it on CD, they added them on. And I thought this was pretty cool. In this particular copy, it's got a couple of little J cards in here, or postcards. And I found out that this is an apology from Epic Records because they forgot to put one of the songs is not listed on the album. And they forgot to put it down. I think it was I can't remember which one it was now, but they forgot to put the song on the album. Oh, it's the Ripper. They left the Ripper off.
Oh, dude, you can't.
I mean, it's on the album, but it's just not, and it's listed on the label. It's just not on the album cover, but it is on the album. Here's a Night Ranger Midnight Madness. Now, this particular one, they put the sash across the top. You can see.
I don't think I've ever seen one like that.
This one came with a cool little tour book, so you got like a photo book with it of the band and so forth. So that's
what the Japanese, the Japanese pressings, they always come with cool little stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if, this is my only one. I got the Final Frontier.
Great album. Yep.
It sounds amazing, but then they have cool little stuff inside. I'm like, okay, now I understand why everybody wants this thing. It's got cool stuff. It's got little things in there that the American pressings don't have.
Some people say they sound better, and I don't really notice that much difference in them.
My player isn't that great where I'm going to go, oh my God, that sounds way better than that one. Now, if they're dusty and they're old and beat up, then I notice. But most of the time it's like it's got to be the needle needs cleaning or whatever. So I don't take much stock in. Now the newer pressings of some records is way better than or way worse than what it was back in the day. I've got ones where I got to crank the volume all the way up to hear it halfway. Or there's back in the day, you crank the volume halfway up and you're just shaking the rafters. But
I picked up that record store day pressing of Mr. Big Lean Into It, and the volume is super low on it. I mean, you have to
that's what I heard.
A lot of nicely made record, but it's just like I said, I was kind of disappointed in the sound as far as the fidelity of it,
Right. And I thought
I've also heard on some of the new pressings of stuff that comes out, a lot of times the label can't find the masters and they'll just use a digital source and press records to it.
Right. And you know what?
There's no analog about it. You
can tell
a digital source.
When the damn thing's louder than my CD, I know, okay, this is pressed from a CD. This is digital. This is not, and believe me, you notice when you have an album on versus when you have a CD on. A CD doesn't fill the room. If you sit there and you put a CD on, it sounds brassy. All CDs do. Don't come at me with the hate mail, rockin@brock.com. Albums have a lot more depth. There's a lot more that you could put in that groove.
It's more bottom end.
Yes. And, there's a groove, and it's got the CDs are all digital. There's no real groove to it. So there's no fullness. And believe me, sit down with an album, sit down with the same thing on CD. You're going to pick the album because it fills the room, man. It's warm. And it just, I don't know. That's what it does to me. I sit there and put it on. It's like
that's like some of the remastered CDs that's come out. I think some of the original CDs in their original analog form. Remember when you used to get the CD and it would say, this came from an analog source and maybe some tape noise. I want that. I'd rather hear that than hear this remastered version. It's all compressed, very tinty sounding. I know. It's like a lot of times you see stuff that's remastered and it says remastered from the master tapes, and I've heard where artists have said, well, how did this label get the master tapes? I have them, or they've been lost or something,
Right.
All they did was take the version they had and boost the volume on it, put it out, repackage it,
And you can tell.
Then you can tell for sure.
You can tell. I mean, geez. It's not till after you buy it that you can tell, but
I've always liked collecting bootleg, unofficial stuff as well. I've always, collected videos and audio and stuff of concerts and so forth. And, they've been doing that for years with vinyl. And when they first started doing the records back in like the 70s, I guess I've seen like Led Zeppelin bootleg albums and stuff from concerts. Sometimes it would be a lot of times they'll take it from a radio broadcast, but most of the time it's somebody recorded it with a handheld recorder, usually snuck it into the concert, which I remember seeing that. I remember going to an Iron Maiden show at Hampton Coliseum on the Power Slave tour. Somewhere in Time tour. And I remember a guy walked in and he was on crutches. And I watched him when everybody's standing on the floor waiting for the show to start. Yngwie Malmsteen opened the show. I saw the guy take two crutches, duct tape them together. He pulled microphones out, taped them up on the end of each crutch, and threw his flannel shirt over top of him. And he just stood there in the crowd holding it up, recording the show. And there's an audio of that show on YouTube. I've always wondered to this day, is that the one that the guy recorded that I was standing next to?
Wow.
But yeah, so this stuff's been out for years. Early records, like this is a Black Sabbath, and this is with Dio. And it's just called Their Satanic Majesty's Return, and it's a white record cover with a Xerox piece of paper in it. It's all it is, and the record's just a white label on the record. There's no writing on it. So those were very common. And then I've got this Judas Priest one.
Cool as fuck.
This Judas Priest one is really weird. It's a double album, and the LPs are on like. They say this is Yugoslavian like dance music on one volume. The other one is like the Vessels of Praise, which is like a gospel record. So that's how they
Yeah,
would get them in the
president,
plant.
but forgot
That's how
to
they
change
would
the
stick them
label.
through the record plant, so they wouldn't get in trouble making them. And the funny thing is whenever you get them, and a lot of the songs are wrong on them. And we're actually talking about this on Facebook in a conversation earlier today. I mean, they've got the songs, they got like Meta Gods, and
Right.
the best one, Bloodstone, is listed as Blood Stove.
Stove.
Blood Stove. Yeah, you got a blood stove for heavy metal cooking.
Hey, you can't get no more metal. I don't give a shit. If freaking Judas Priest writes a song called Blood Stove, I'm digging it.
But then, they got better over the years. And now lately, it's legal to put out stuff that's been broadcast over the radio because it's like public domain or something. So there's tons of these live recordings coming out on LP and CD from various groups, from everybody. I mean, from Billy Joel and Grateful Dead to, Metallica and Iron Maiden and Van Halen. And this one, there's a lot of Van Halen ones out. This is one of them that's more recent that has come out from Venezuela from like 1983. And it's a really good sounding show from the 83 tour.
Some bootlegs suck sound wise, but some pretty freaking good.
Merciful Fate from 1982, and it's a custom cover. It's even got the Obi strip, like it came from Japan, but it's a bootleg. But it's great. It's a really cool show. This is really cool. This is one of my favorite unofficial live albums. This is a Wasp show from Japan.
Seen that.
And check this out. The packaging is awesome. You open it up and it's got
wow, dude, I need to have that some of it.
So you don't want to hurt yourself playing.
Are you kidding me?
It's really cool. And then I love the unofficial What If albums. So Merciful Fate, Melissa, classic album, one of my favorites. They had the album cover they ended up using. Well, this was the cover they were going to use. This is the original idea for the album cover for Melissa. And someone used the same back cover as what officially was released. Someone pressed up so many copies with the original cover. Oh, that was great. I was like, I got to have one of those.
Oh, hell yeah.
And last but not least, Creatures of the Night with Vinnie Vincent on the cover instead of Ace. And it's on purple vinyl. And I saw that. I was like, I got to have it. Because, I mean, all us Kiss fans know Ace didn't play a lick on that album,
Right.
Vinny played some on it. He didn't play all the guitar, but he did some on it,
But it's like, you've got to have them pieces. It's good conversation. It's conversation pieces. It's cool to have. It's, in this digital age where everybody wants, I just listen. Granted, I listen to Spotify when I'm at work. I can't have a record player at work until, I'm not gonna, if I can, but I'm not doing it. Somebody's going to steal it. But, it's easier to listen to Spotify at work. If I'm washing the truck,
YouTube,
Spotify, YouTube, whatever.
Yeah, I have YouTube account, and that's what we play music through at work all day.
Right. And it's like, but when I'm at home sitting on my couch, I'll come in the rock room, sit on the couch in here, and I'll put an album on. And just like the old days, I might have read this thing in the lyric sheets hundreds of times, but I'll sit down and I'll look at the lyric sheets. I'll look at the pictures. I'll pull CD out. I'm pulling the thing out, and my phone is gone. I don't need that. I've got what I used to do. It's like, it takes you back and it's like, man, and you're listening to this, you're reading the lyrics. And, oh, wow, I had that lyric wrong for freaking 35 years. Okay, that's what I'm supposed to say. Okay, cool. But it's like, man, having these physical copies of everything, going back in time and going to the record store, flipping through and saying, oh my God, I was at Raleigh at the Record Crate. And I think Brad Lee came over. It was right before M3 one year. And we're all like, let's meet there, So we're like, okay, cool. Because I was like, I'm going. And I think Eric Shepard came and, a bunch of people, Margie and Chris. And I think you may have been there. And so many people there. I don't remember. But it was so cool. Everybody's coming up going, hey, check this one out. I'm like, hey, check this one out. You just got to go back out and start doing it again. I mean, it's not as expensive. And, I've got $3. I got Christopher Cross. I've got freaking Devo. They cost me $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
Some 38 special albums that are like $5-10.
And there's plenty of stuff you can get.
Plenty of stuff out there. Robert Plant for $2-3. You could build a collection for not expensive, but then once you get them essential pieces, I guess, then you start building the Metallica ride, the Lightnings on OG. You can get
you can go buy the Walmart copy to hold you over until
right, and they sound great. Not the blackened ones, the released probably like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good sounding ones, and you can really start a collection, and it's not that expensive.
I did a record show Sunday in Raleigh. I was selling there, and my buddy Bobby Beatty, I shared a table with him, and Bobby brought tons of records, and there were he had like a bunch of $1 records and a bunch of $5 records, and he sold just a ton of them because people were really just coming up and just buying stuff. They'll take a chance on something for $1. So right. I'll do the same thing. I'm always looking. When I go in a store and they got some used records, I got to look through them because there might be something in there for $1 that I want to take a chance on, and or something I've been looking for. I mean, I got a very short list of what I'm looking for now. I've got, but you never know. Like I said, those radio promo copies and stuff. There's so many of them out there, and there's different versions of stuff. I'm like, wow, I don't have that.
And some record stores don't know what they got, and they'll put it in the dollar bin, dude. And you'll be like, Metal Massacre in the dollar bin. Look what I found.
Yeah, man. We were in Chicago. We're in Chicago. I should have brought that in here. We were in Chicago several years back, and Caroline and I were in a store. We're looking at records and stuff, and they had a bunch of Beatles stuff and all behind the counter and stuff, like collectible records. And I'm flipping through the records or whatever, and she pulls out a Budgie record, impeccable. She says, "Oh, here's a Budgie record." She said, and someone wrote on it, and I went, "That's autographed." She goes, "Well, it's ink pen." And I'm like ballpoint ink pen. I said, "Yeah, that's what they used to use to sign albums back then because they didn't have Sharpies, back in the late 70s." And so I got it. It was $7,
Okay,
and Burt Shelley from Budgie just passed away a few weeks ago. I'm like, man, it's no telling what that record's worth now,
I don't want to know. I like not knowing what my records are worth.
But it's just funny that they had that out in the record bin for $7, and they had all these other records behind the counter for $100 a piece. And I'm just like, got it. Just like you said, the guy didn't know what he had. But most record store owners are up. They know what they got. Everybody looks up everything on Discogs now to see what it's worth. And but like I said, there's so much stuff out there you can run across. There's always good finds out there.
Don't go to eBay.
I wanted to. I was going to kind of close out here with a couple things. If you really want to know, like I said, my all-time favorite record is Kiss Rock and Roll Over. I've probably got more copies of that than I do of anything. Just various versions of it on vinyl. I mean, I've got Japanese. I've got German with the German S's. Because they can't have the lightning bolt S's over in Europe. This is a really rare copy. This is the BMG Record Club pressing, or RCA Record Club, that is. Same thing, but they used to be RCA. If you look at Paul Stanley, he's got teardrops in his eyes. And that was a misprint at the plant. And these things are like super valuable now because if you've got that, teardrop or whatever. The inside sleeve for Rock and Roll Over was always this. Whenever you pick it up on vinyl. Well, this was a Polygram pressing from the 80s when Polygram bought out Casablanca and Kiss started getting popular. They started reissuing the Kiss albums. This one has the inner sleeve was this, which was a lot. If you're a Kiss fan, that's the inner sleeve, the Love Gun.
Right.
But that's what came in Rock and Roll Over. I never found a Polygram Love Gun, so I don't know what's the inner sleeve of that. I'd like to know. And then, so I've got more copies that I've got it on tape and various CD versions and so forth. And then my favorite Thin Lizzy record is Black Rose, and I have various versions of that on record and tape, CD.
I think you're the biggest Thin Lizzy.
This was actually autographed by Scott Gorham when we met him. So
you're the biggest Thin Lizzy fan I know.
I know bigger ones, but they are one of my top bands. I mean, Kiss
Yep.
and Thin Lizzy would be my favorite two bands of all
Yep.
time, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep. Huh. So, what's your most sentimental one? Do you have a one album that
Rock and Roll is going
rock
to
and roll?
be,
That's what I
yeah,
thought.
I mean, that's what started it all.
That's what started it out.
I remember bringing that tape home from the tape city, like I told earlier.
Yep.
And my mom comes in, and we're coming in. We're sitting down in my room, and I put the tape in, and my mom's like, "Okay, let's see what you got." And I Want You is the first song on that tape, and it starts off slow. My mom's like, "Oh, that's not too bad," and then it kicks in. She's like, "Oh my God!" It's like scene from a movie. Mom's hair is blowing back, and it's crazy. Yeah,
Right.
And that was it, man.
Right.
I was possessed from then on.
No shit.
Yeah.
Hey, we all got that one album, man. That that one song we heard. It's like, oh my God, and it changed
The good thing
everything.
about collecting music too is you can remember. I mean, I remember where I was when I bought a certain album.
Exactly.
Or the first time I heard a certain band.
Yep. Well, first time I heard something, I'm like,
good music always retains in your memory.
It does. It really does. It doesn't happen with today's kids. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they go through music like most. They're starting to get better, I think, because I'm watching more out there, and they're starting to pick up instruments and shit. So it's like they're starting to appreciate it a little bit more, I think, and starting to dive into the backlog and find out where things have come, where they came from, who was this, why, just like we did. We liked certain things, but then we went way back to Paul Revere and the Raiders. I was like, okay, and you can go down a rabbit hole on rock and roll. I mean,
sure can.
Bam, and you're all the way down. The next thing you know, like I said, Paul Revere and the Raiders, and you're going, wow, this shit's cool. When my dad was playing it, I hated it. But nowadays I go back and I'm like, this is killer shit. This is great stuff here. But I don't think they're on Spotify. But if you go to a record store, I guarantee you're going to find that out. You're going to find albums out there that you're going, I want to check this one out.
You think about someone discovering a band like Deep Purple and then going a Deep Purple rabbit hole. How many different versions of that band it's been, and
oh my God,
and how many albums they had,
certain members where they went, and what other bands and more bands, and then these members branch out to that. It's like you could go way under.
That family tree is forked a whole lot.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah,
very much. I've seen one. You ever seen those? The guy that makes those rock family trees, and he used to put them in magazines. Sometimes, and there's one on Deep Purple, and it's like a poster size because it's so many. I mean, everybody's almost like the Kevin Bacon thing. It's like everything goes back to Deep Purple because somebody's been in some band that had something to do with a connection to Deep Purple somewhere in history.
This is Greg Carchidi. I wish I would have stuck with the $1 albums.
Me too, Greg.
Me too. It's like
I was going to say, I remember in the early 90s going to like Camelot Music, and they were getting rid of all their vinyl, and they had tons of. I bought like all this stuff on Megaforce and Combat and all these Merciful Fate records and Megadeth records, and all $2 a piece. We're just buying them like crazy,
right.
And those same records are expensive records now.
$200-300.
Yeah.
But we buy what we love. I used to have an alcohol problem, a drug problem, and kick that. But guess what? Now I have an album problem. I think it's a little more healthy.
It's a little healthy, more healthy. Yeah.
I got a music problem, which is a great. It's not a bad problem. That my wife kind of approves of this problem, but she doesn't. She hasn't seen as many albums show up at the door because prices have went up. So she told me one day, she goes, well, if that's the case, I said, my album collection is probably grown about 5 times, 6 times over. I mean, it's times, easy. She goes, so why don't you sell? I'm like, because I'm not gonna. I said, because right now to rebuy everything, I don't know how much further it's going to go up. Now, once we start seeing them come down, I might have to liquidate everything.
Yeah,
and then
I've
go and have
considered that.
all kinds of money to just go buy more shit.
Well, you know, that being said, cassettes have got popular again. People want cassettes. And I just feel like it's right around the corner. The CD resurgence is going to come back. People are going to want CDs again, because you think about it. If your music collection, the only music collection you have is on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. If something crashes, there goes your music. Unless you've got it backed up on a hard drive, you've lost your music. So a lot of people are kind of thinking about that now, and they're starting to pick up CDs and stuff again. You can buy CDs so cheap now. I mean, $1 a piece, and you can get stuff.
25 cents. I'm like, I always go. I go in there, go right straight to the album section. Absolutely. I'll go to the rock section. Then I'll go to the country section. Then I'll go over here that section. Then I go to the new vinyl section, and then it's like, okay, let's go hit the CD section. And then go over to the tape bins. And I guarantee you, a lot more times than not, I'm walking out with more tapes than I am albums. Because for 25 cents or $1, I can buy 20, 30 of these things, whereas only I can buy 2 or 3 albums.
I remember the last time I saw you, I think we were at Brad's show up in Maryland. And on the way home, I stopped at the CD seller over there in Falls Church.
Yep.
And I didn't buy any albums. I bought probably 20 CDs while I was in there, and they were like $4 or $5 a piece, and it was great stuff. Hold
on. Okay, wait a minute. We got somebody that just said something. Anthony Scaldone. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
Let's read this. Hey, dudes, when my dad passed a few months ago, I inherited all his vinyl, a couple crates of full albums, everything from Elvis and the Beatles to Mitch Ryder and the Animals. I also have a shit ton of 45s. I want to keep some stuff that is sentimental to me, but I'd like to unload a good chunk of it. Any advice?
Mostly, if you wherever you live at, man, find a record store, and most of the time just call them and tell them that you've got some stuff. And sometimes they'll come to you. Sometimes they want you to bring it to them. It just all depends. They'll discuss with you what you've got. The Beatles stuff. Everybody wants Beatles stuff. That seems to be good.
Rider, that's good.
Elvis stuff is kind of a preferred thing. It's Elvis stuff is almost a dime a dozen, but there's so much stuff out. But there are Elvis collectors out, But I'd contact a local record store for sure.
Record crate,
wherever he's from, I don't really know.
Verena, what's that? Verena.
Buque Verena.
Yeah.
You could hit, Record Crate, Sorry State, School Kids, any of those guys. They'll get back with you for sure.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to say?
I'm good, man.
Good.
I've enjoyed it, man. It's good sitting and talking about stuff, man.
I think we're going to do more of these. Just so everybody knows, we're going to do more of these. We had a kind of an idea because, me and Tony have been wanting to do things, and we figured we'd kick it off this way. Then maybe sometime we'll come back and, bring a few albums and talk about them. Maybe they had an anniversary during the month, or they got an anniversary coming up. We'll talk about it, get some tidbits about, maybe histories of the albums. But, we might do this, maybe once every couple months, come back on and maybe if there's some new releases that sound real good, or, whatnot, or just talk about music in general. It doesn't matter. You have an open door whenever you want to come in and you want to do me and you collaborate on a show. I'm all for it, dude.
Oh yeah.
I love talking music with you. Tony's one of the greatest. When I first met Tony, man, I saw him from afar, and he was in Raleigh, and I'm like, "There's Tony Dio," and I've heard of him, and I knew who he was, and I'm like, I was so afraid to approach him, just because he's got this, I don't know if it's larger than life or whatever. A very good reputation of being a really knowledgeable rock guy. And I was like, but I got to tell you, I didn't approach him. He came up to me and it kind of bumped each other. He's like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he's like, "I'm Tony." boom. And it was like, okay, cool. And ever since that, anytime I see this guy at a show, it's like no time has passed. Just catch up. Yeah, Tony is one hell of a guy. You got any questions, you just want to shoot the shit with him, tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, man, and it's over. You're talking. One of the greatest guys I've ever met. You are absolutely, I loved having you here tonight. This has been a great show.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot of you too, brother.
But like I said,
I'm glad you're doing this. This is cool.
Hey, man, it's like, might as well. Whatever gets the music out there, whatever gets people talking, and you had some really cool pieces that even I haven't seen. And I thought I've seen a lot. No. And you know what? And that's the one thing. You can do these things, and somebody's always got a few pieces that you've never seen. You never even knew about. There's so much out there. It's cool to just collect albums, CDs, tapes. It really is.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, you have a great night. Everybody else have a great night. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I mean, we've had a lot of people in all night, just checking out and having fun.
Great to be here.
Hell
Everybody
yeah.
have a good week, good weekend.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Take it easy. All right, everybody. It was great having Tony. Great having all you around. Remember, this Wednesday, Toxic Radio on all the apps. Blah, 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 blah. First all rock, all music show. Be on Toxic Radio. 2 hours, Wednesday, 1 to 3. Tune in, check it out. Should be a good time. There'll be a chat box open. I have a couple scheduled interviews coming up. I don't remember who exactly and when, so I will post that. I have nothing coming up till after the cruise. I'm on the cruise, preparing for the cruise next week, on the cruise the week after, and then that Thursday after I come off, I think it's the 17th, I've got Dan from Svengali. So the drummer from Svengali, they got new music out. They're working on new music. They released an EP about a year ago, a few months ago. I don't remember when. But bam, Svengali. I can't wait to talk to him, find out everything they got going on. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for being here. I had a blast. Hopefully you had a blast. Let's get collecting more records, man. Start spinning. Get them. Got any questions? Hit Dio or myself up. Be glad to answer. All right. Y'all stay safe. Keep rocking. I had a blast. Enjoy the weekend.